Greetings, everyone. We've been talking extensively about the invincible. We are unbroken. I think you will agree that some of us, or maybe of us, have a little bit since the out. If we have a look at the current stats, every third family, a family member with this. We have a lot of service members who are returning to our communities to brace ourselves for. So today, focus will be on how we can make communities to us in the first place. My name is Titova. I'm the director of the Big City Lab. It's an urban. We are based in Kyiv, but we operate the country. We have cooperation every major city. We also strategies for communities. We work a revitalization with land infrastructure, but one of our specialty areas, our fortes, is spaces. Be the centerpiece of my presentation. So to build barrier-free, as the first latest initiative, an album of barrier-free solutions. It's a manual for architects, open source. You can find it on our website of the Ministry of Regional Development. If you are a practitioner, you can easily document and utilize it as an activity that will definitely improve the inclusiveness or inclusion of your. It was developed with the support of GIZ. We conducted a study into international, analyzed all the legislative regulations. We listened to the professionals complaining about our regulations, but we started with a person. We sat down to ourselves. We have a lot of reduced mobility populations. They have diverse needs. Explore their. We can make cities comfortable for them. Then by default, these are comfortable for us as well. We employed different formats. Hear the voices of these people. Expert groups. If we're talking about autistic patients, we consulted with. We had focus groups with the parents of such children. And as a result of all surveys and identified a litany faced by our citizens, identified the most ones, the ones common for about 80% of people, into 4 categories. And we have 4 chapters in our album. First one is yard and building porches. The second one is streets, how we places. Chapter public spaces, wide where what there. So chapter 3 public, chapter 4 public building. Each chapter in universal solutions. So how we can build barrier-free from scratch. We also incorporated some adaptable solutions because a lot of construction is already in place and facilities unfortunately have some. So what can we do about structure to improve it and make it barrier-free? The barrier solutions, I mean, you just make photographs and you showcase the way. And we about 57 scenarios, and we did each scenario into elements in the form of matrices. Scenario of an entrance into a building, and we detailed everything to a doorknob. This is an adaptable solution. Added some of the recommendations for the how we can ensure our security in times of war. See how these elements fit together in the space, and you can also clear behind the space. Each of the 57 scenarios looks like that. We have a model. We it's the logic. They have a nuanced description of this model. Album is much more than construction regulations, but of course we cannot really beyond, or we cannot violate or go in the face state building. Have some references to the manuals, like, for example, the Toronto, how such things are sorted out in if you are interested. But I would like to one case to show everything works in practice as we the principles of universal design or plan anything. But I would like to about the case of the urban park courts are associated people with endurance, strong people, details about the space and barrier-free space about the detail, because it's all about the manifestations of a human being that we might overlook. You can see colors, you can see a contrast the sizes here. It's a large area. You don't really want people with balls to intersect with the people on scooters. You don't really want children to mingle with the you want each and every group to have their private zone. You want to navigate them throughout this space. These are photographs from 2 years ago. The president and I look about 10 years. Beautiful times back then. It was a successful space in visitors on an annual basis. Hefty number even for the city of Kyiv. And it seemed like a love mark. Here you can see some of the screen from a film about the Kyiv, and bands shoot their clips there. Kyiv brand also use the space photo shoots. It's a place where everyone can find something for themselves. One, a married couple went there on their marriage day. We had this experience when we created a piece on Hortisa Island of the Dnipro region, the high station, and we believed that the public was successful if all the married couples were to have their photo shoots. We didn't really set the same objective in this project, but it happened. Why is this project successful? Where can we barrier-free space? We analyzed the interest of different groups. Let's keep example. It's an extreme sport. Here, a barrier-free aspect. He conversation with my friend, and when we found to build something like that, there was a spark in his eyes, and he said, "As a teenager, I had to use broken staircase on one of the stairs. So I envy those people that are so want to give it a ride. Problem, go and give it a shot. You're only a little bit old. You know what? I have a bad eye. Cannot really ride glasses because they will away, and I cannot really lenses either because the vision will be blurry. And when you spin or when flip, everything is blurred, and you have no clue. So within this project, we simple element of all the shapes, all the objects in bright color. So go there and you see some blue elements. It's not love blue. We just wanted to contrast. We wanted people with bad eyesight to be able to give it a ride.
Is this enough? Of course, barrier-free is in the detail, in the architect. Preliminary, it's in the function of the building. This is not ours, but this has reconstructed. I'm not going to the author their own safety, but touched things up here. They added the ramp, the navigation where it's basically unnecessary. But is this free? Does it make us want to stay in this space? Is it this, by the way, is this a school the child feels able to realize, self-assert, and become the citizen we want them to become? Same is true about the hospital. Does this corridor trauma before seeing a doctor? Does it encourage you to have a cozy conversation with relatives. This architecture help you recover. It doesn't function. So I'm so happy. So many students today. Yes. And Gilma and Patter have post-Soviet architecture. Something went wrong here, but I'm gonna still share this with you. Free means people, and you have Soviet school, then Soviet hospital, Soviet prison. Now these live up to their function, help you to be a better person, or to build, or grow up to be a nice person. This work in practice. The project of in Kyiv, in Solomin district, and not a park, nothing else vicinity, and this yard is used by everybody but the schools. And this is a screen from the satellite from 2000 and 2019. Thing changed over the. There used to be a stadium, but people come with dogs, with young children, come to play football. Happens. Additionally, extremely hot. Real alternative, though, so everybody keeps coming. So we decide, should we separate the space where there's room for older, for their needs, for younger school kids, for the adjacent community, and to make these streams don't create dangerous situations, because school should be a. So based on of this public space, it is clear who it's intended for and who desire to come there. Territory of the school, the territory community, and a very slight just to channel the streams to the transit area, so that people won't go too close to school while the kids are. And also the territory of you need to jump and leap and rock yourself, other interesting things. But interesting, there's an inner where the drawing teacher has been called garden for 15 years. The team was shocked that this was even possible. Nobody is aware of this because this is yard. But of course, kids are not, should they break something? So respectively, there's that nobody visits, an occasional holiday once a year, but the canteen, for instance, looks yard. So the client needs to be ready to use that we're creating. And headmaster, maybe let's give it a try. Let's have some options or test it. Suggested is to take modular and give it a try. And the same story for the inner side the school. You have heard participants on the stage, heard from Transform. We spoke that public space, but are bigger than the classes, and they were afraid that the school could be turned into a military, and two carriage could pass, or two rollers could pass by, and revisit the corridors. And what can care? We're in project with the World Bank now. We visited a couple of schools, and they all have the same. They don't know how to get a person inside, but the territory is inaccessible. There's a curb to enter, a threshold, but even if you change accessibility, you to add other functions. Is not just staying in bed. The program socialization, where you can spend time. This is getting adapted to real life. So you need a of the apartment where you can learn how to walk, how to hold a fork, how to wash your, so that people could live in the future, and also private and public, so that people with different needs could either communicate or streets. Kривий Ріг has one street running down, and the program development, the city development program. Once again, this city was so that a air carrier could land during. We're having a war. We don't the street for years, and this separation, like the Dnipro River in Kiev, possible to cross, and width will suffice. Lines running both. Also have two lanes, both sides, a bicycle lane, and plant trees to make it a instead of a central tree or an avenue. And another Славутич, it's a small town, 10 people. This is a former polyclinic, which is idle, it's empty, needed in the size that it has. So simple to strip it of the hospital taste, add constructions to create balconies. So very simple solutions that don't require have project. And in this building, you could have a ground floor for all the, and on top of this, 100 flats for us their homes. So building 100 from scratch would be much more expensive. Refurbish old Soviet that we don't even use. Could be done to the entire city. Just yesterday, the vision for development by 2040 analyzed how and we should the character of the city. It's on the other hand, make it new and modern, still preserve the memorabilia for people understand that this is the same Mariupol up where I got married, where I gave children, and so on. And I've gotten to the same principle that David Sim discussed today. Soviet, too wide, massive. There are yards, but where the street begins, finishes, whose yard, and so on. So we're making this more dense. We're adding architecture, mingling it with the old, while at the same time in these old Khrushchev to improve the life. We could do the same to Mariupol with the Mariupol and the character that it has, but also to make sure our present day needs. The center, we want to preserve that have value and significance, and this is a great example of Stalinist era, and these way are still intact. They haven't, but we want to make sure that they can satisfy their needs, so we can do some interventions because the buildings will need to be refurbished anyway, so that we can meet the conditions but preserve the character of this. And this is a view in between the center, city center, and there's an aisle, basically, an empty, and this is the way it looks. And we understand that this is landscape, industrial landscape of it, but we understand that we can recover the center of Mariupol, but also the city, a new center and a new face, to signal that we have to recover and to create what we used to have. And in this way, the character of the city becomes a backdrop for the new one. I leave you with the, we're going to invest a lot in reconstruction of Ukraine. It's important, but we have to be that each hryvnia that we invest to recovery and reconstruction should be also into the dignity of our. Thank you, Victoria. Thank you for telling us to treat both the people with dignity. And I am deeply convinced set of that have to be cornerstones. Recovery, inclusive approach is one of taking into account that 1 billion people are serving now, and these go rotation, so people that will require will in higher numbers. I will stay here for a little, but then I will have to leave.
Okay.
If you have some questions, please. So you raise your hand. So the question, I have a short question. You in your presentation that for in schools and in lighter shades are used for people to relax and have take on things. I wanted to ask you whether there are examples of colors that could be used for creation of cozy atmosphere. Yes, there have been this for sensory room. For instance, this for me days in a row is too much. This is too much energy for me. I was asleep. A sensory room in school is a place where relax. It could be a little bit like in the shadows. Thank you so much, Victor.